Real estate is one of the most reliable ways to build long-term wealth, but most people only think about it in one way. You buy a house, you rent it out, you're done. Or you flip a house that you purchased and fixed up. The reality is these are great ways to make money with real estate, but there's actually a lot of different ways to make money in real estate. And some of them don't require nearly as much money or experience as you would think. In this video, I'm going to rank 9 different ways to make money with real estate from the very easiest to the hardest, and I will include several that I've done personally, one I'm seriously considering, and a few that I'd probably never do, but you should know it exists. Let's get into it so you can create some income. First is REITs, which are real estate investment trust, and we're starting with the most accessible one on the list because almost anyone can do this. A REIT is a company that owns income-producing real estate like apartment complexes, office buildings, warehouses, sometimes rental real estate on the residential side, and you can buy shares in this the same way you would buy a stock. You don't own any property directly, you just own a piece of the company that does own the property. REITs are required by law to pay out at least 90% of their taxable income as dividends to shareholders, which is why they're pretty popular for people who want passive income from real estate without actually becoming a landlord, which isn't super passive. I've personally invested in REITs for many years now, and for me, it was a great way to kind of get exposure to real estate before I owned any physical property myself. The barrier to entry here is super low and it's completely hands off, and you can start with very little money. The trade-off is that you're not building any equity in anything, you don't own anything, and you don't get the tax advantages that come with owning property directly. But as a starting point, especially if you're earlier in your investing journey or you don't want to deal with physical properties, REITs are worth knowing about and researching. Next is to rent out a space you already own, and this tends to get overlooked, but it's generally one of the lowest effort and lowest cost ways to generate income from real estate because you already own the real estate asset. So this is things like renting out a room in your house, or renting out a parking spot, or a garage, or a storage space, or an ADU, or a guest house, anything you have in your home that could be rented out to other people. No new purchase required, no new mortgage, no new property. You're just monetizing something you already have with real estate, and this will depend entirely on what you already own and where you live and your lifestyle. But if you have any underutilized space that could be rented out, this is worth thinking about before you go looking for a whole new property. You can get the experience with real estate investing without actually diving into a whole new property. Next is similar, and that is house hacking. And house hacking is where you buy a property, usually a duplex, triplex, or a home with more rooms than you actually need, to live in part of it and then rent out the other part to offset your mortgage. The reason why this works so well is that you can often qualify for owner-occupied financing, which means a lower down payment than you traditionally need for a regular investment property. And if you do it well, your tenants can cover most or even all of your housing costs. I haven't done this one personally. I actually tried to buy a property in my 20s that fell through where I was going to do this, but I do recommend it a lot to people who are younger or single and want to get into real estate without a massive down payment. A few of my friends have done this, and the ones who approached it seriously came out in a really strong position after house hacking. The trade-off is that you're living in your investment, so you have less privacy, you're close to the issues, really close sometimes, and you're somewhat limited in where you can buy based on where you want to live, based on what you need for a property that can be rented out room by room, or a duplex, for example. But if you are really wanting to get into real estate, this is a great first move into real estate investing. It's one of the smartest things you can do early on and one of the easier ways to get into real estate investing. Next is long-term rental properties, and this is one that most people picture when they think about real estate investing, and the one they actually do, including me. So I can speak to this one from real experience because I am a rental property owner. With this one, you buy a property, you find a tenant, you sign a lease, you collect rent every single month. In theory, it's actually very simple. In practice, 1 year taught me that there's nothing simple about this. The cash flow on a single property is not that amazing and is often smaller than people expect, and that's especially true right now with where rates have been and prices of housing. Personally, we're netting a little bit over $200 a month on a rental after expenses right now, but that's not money I'm spending or even taking home. It's going straight into my reserves account at Baselane because things will break eventually, and I'm saving up for any sort of property repairs and maintenance because you have to be ready for those things. Repairs and maintenance are a huge part of the long-term property rentals, and that is something that not everyone wants to deal with, which is why it's a little bit harder and lower down on this list in terms of ease of doing this. But what makes this work worthwhile is that it's a long-term wealth building play, not a get-rich-quick strategy. Our tenant is paying down our mortgage every single month. We're building equity every single month, and the property has appreciated. And since we have a 15-year loan on our property, the math over time is really compelling. It just doesn't feel very exciting in the beginning. The key to making something like this work is having real systems in place. So having separate finances for your rental property, having real expense tracking, knowing your actual numbers at any given moment, running your rental property as a business. Which is a great place to mention today's sponsor of this video, Baselane, and it's exactly what I use to handle the financial side of our rental property. Baselane is an integrated banking and bookkeeping platform built specifically for real estate investors. I've been using it for almost a year now, and the biggest thing it's done for me is replace guessing with actual clarity about my rental property, because every single expense about this property gets tagged to the property inside of Baselane. The rent has been tracked, and I can see the real net cash flow in one dashboard, not just the rent minus the mortgage in my head, but the actual number after everything, so I can evaluate how my property is doing. The built-in bookkeeping at Baselane does line up with the Schedule E category, so tax time is not a scramble. It's very clear to use, and even better, there's no monthly account maintenance fees for the accounts that you do open. Baselane just launched balance sheets and a mobile app recently, and that's been a really great, useful addition for managing things on the go for me, since I'm not constantly at my computer. So for real estate investing, if you are going to go the landlord route, or honestly any of the routes on this list that involve owning property, having a system like this from day one makes a real difference in your experience. Even better, right now, Baselane is doing a $10,000 giveaway. One lucky investor can win $10,000. All you have to do is deposit your rental income into Baselane. The link for this will be in the description. Next way to make money with real estate is short-term or vacation rentals, and this is the Airbnb model. You own a property, you rent it out by the night or the week instead of a long-term lease. This has the potential for really high income. It's higher than a traditional rental in a lot of markets. A property that can rent for $1,500 a month long-term could potentially generate significantly more through short-term rentals if it's in the right location and managed well. I've seriously considered this one and doing a vacation rental. The appeal of it is real. Higher revenue ceiling, flexibility to use the property yourself, and in some markets, the numbers are really compelling. You can make a good amount of money, but the trade-offs are pretty meaningful. It's a much more active model. The turnover is constant. You're managing cleanings in between guests, and you're handling reviews and responding to questions and handling customer service, or using someone to do that for you. Honestly, even with a property manager, it will require more ongoing attention than the long-term rental, and regulations are a real factor as Airbnb has been banned in some locations. Some cities have cracked down really hard on short-term rentals in a lot of markets, so you do need to do your own homework about the rules and potential pitfalls with this strategy in mind. I haven't pulled the trigger on this yet, and I don't know that I will, partly because I want to make sure the market I buy in actually supports it long-term, and I don't end up with a vacation rental that I can't rent out. The next way to make money with real estate is a medium-term rental, and this one is less talked about, but increasingly worth knowing about because it is really more viable as remote work has changed how people move around. Medium-term rentals are furnished properties. They're rented out on a 30-day plus stay, so you aren't really renting it out long-term, but it's not an Airbnb. These are generally rented out to people like traveling nurses or remote workers on a project, or people in the middle of a relocation who aren't ready for the house that they'll end up living in long-term. They're not committing to a year-long lease, and they need something that's more than a hotel. The appeal of this compared to an Airbnb is less turnover and less day-to-day management, and in a lot of markets, it sidesteps that short-term rental regulation entirely because technically it's a month-to-month arrangement. But of course, check your local regulations to make sure that that's true where you are, because it does differ city to city and state to state. The income for a medium-term rental sits somewhere between the long-term and the short-term, and is not peak nightly rates, but it is more income than a traditional annual lease. But with this, you also have to provide furniture in the rental generally, so you will have a higher upfront cost to get this up and running. This strategy is not as common and it's less proven than others on the list. Not as many people do this, but it is a valid one and it can be a good income earner. If you're in a market with a lot of healthcare workers or corporate relocations or remote workers passing through, this is one that could be really worth looking into for potential income. Next on the list is a really common one, but a lot harder, and that is house flipping or the BRRRR method. And now we're getting into the strategies that require real skill, real capital, and a higher tolerance for risk. Flipping is where you buy a distressed property, you renovate it, and then you sell it for a profit. profit. Done well, it can generate significant returns very quickly. Done poorly, this can cost you a lot of money. And I've seen that happening recently in properties that were flipped and then didn't sell. This can cost more because the renovation cost more, or it took longer than expected, so expenses went up. The BRRRR strategy is similar. It's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And so that's a variation that's popular with investors who want to hold the properties rather than sell them. But you do buy something that is distressed and still have to flip it and fix it up. Then you rent it out instead of selling it. And then later you refinance based on the new appraised value to pull your capital back out and repeat the process. Both of these methods require you to accurately estimate renovation costs before you buy. And that's generally really hard to do without any construction experience or a reliable contractor network. I honestly don't think this is a beginner strategy, and the people who do this well usually have built that knowledge up over years or have a really strong network in the real estate industry. The people who lose money on this almost always underestimate what the renovation would cost or what it actually will take time-wise, and sometimes this can really be a significant amount of money. Over the last couple of years, I have made really good relationships with contractors here, and I'm still nowhere near this territory, and honestly, I'm not sure that I would be. Personally, I don't think I have the risk tolerance for this, but if you have a construction background or the right network, the upside is real and you can make a lot of money in this way. Next method is wholesaling, and wholesaling is unique on this list because it does not actually require you to buy any property at all. You don't have to buy anything. Here's how it works. You find an undervalued property. Usually that's something like a distressed home where the owner is motivated to sell quickly for personal life reasons. And then you put that house under a contract at the low price. Then you sell that contract to another investor for a fee before you ever close on the property yourself. You are essentially the middleman. You're finding the deals, then you're giving them off to an investor who actually follows through with the deal. The appeal here is that you theoretically don't need much capital to get started, but the reality is this is much harder than it sounds. Finding motivated sellers consistently requires really serious marketing and a lot of legwork. You need a real network of buyers who will actually close, and the legal landscape does vary state to state, so wholesaling is really regulated very differently depending on where you actually live, so you need to understand all of the rules before you start. It's pretty complicated, and it's less of a passive investment and more of a full-time hustle that actually does involve real estate. However, for the right person with the right skills, this can work and does make some people a lot of money, but there's a reason why it's toward the bottom of this list. It's pretty hard. And finally, the last one on the list of ways you can make money with real estate is commercial real estate. And this is last on the list and the furthest from where most beginners should start. Commercial real estate does cover a wide range of opportunities, from office buildings to retail space to industrial warehouses. There's a lot of different ways you can invest in commercial real estate. The deals are often bigger, the leases are longer, and the financing works very differently from residential. The upside here is that commercial leases often shift more costs and responsibilities to the tenants, and the income potential at scale is very significant. The downside, though, is barrier to entry is really high, both in terms of capital and knowledge and connections, and the market dynamics are so different from anything else on the list with residential. And also over the last few years, you've seen that office real estate in particular has been through a lot of disruption and uncertainty, so it's not something that you can be guaranteed on working out. This is honestly the territory of experienced investors with large portfolios or institutional money. It's not really possible to get a foothold for most beginners, and some people start with a small mixed-use building as a way to get into commercial, but it's a very different world and worth treating as a long-term goal that you eventually get into commercial real estate rather than a starting point. So there you have it, 9 different ways to make money in real estate, from buying a REIT on your phone to managing a commercial portfolio. There are a wide range of different options, and some of them are way easier and some are way harder. The honest takeaway here is that there's no single right way to invest in real estate, and it really does come down to how much capital you have, how much experience you have, and how much time and stress you're willing to take on, and what your actual financial goals are over the long term. For me personally, the long-term rental route is where I am right now, and one property building slowly and not rushing it has been a great way to get started. It's not the flashiest strategy on this list by far, and I hardly even feel like I can call myself a real estate investor, but it does fit into my life, my timeline, and I genuinely think it's going to be worth it long term as a wealth builder. If you're just starting out and wondering where to begin, my honest suggestion is to start with what you can actually do right now, whether that is purchasing a REIT, looking into house hacking, or getting educated on the market near you so that you can purchase a rental property. You honestly don't have to start the deep end to become a real estate investor. You can start slow, you can start small, and comment down below to let me know which strategy you're using, and then check out this video next.